Okay, hello everybody. How is everyone doing? How are you on okay, there we go. Are you on overload with your brain? I mean, have you just, yes, it's coming out your ears. All right, well, I'm going to add to it. I'm sorry, but that's what you signed up for this week, right? We are going to go through the process of importing from China on the chart, but you can import from any place. We just chose China because most of the people are using China, but whether it's South Africa or India or anywhere else, the same process applies. So let's get started. I'm Pam Cail. I'm the Vice President of HYC. I've got my CFO and my team leader back there, Lori and Sydney, and we are very, very happy to be a part of this. SellerSummit is absolutely fantastic. The people that I have met so far, which are several in here, have been awesome, just as I expected you to be, and that is why 5 years ago I divided the company. I took HYC, our traditional business, since 1948, and I went to Sydney and I said, Sydney, I want to do e-commerce. And he said, okay. So I gave the traditional business to my ops manager, and I took the fun people. And here I am. And I love it. I've been in the business for 30 plus years, and the last 5 have been the most rewarding. I started with a mentor asking me, could I please talk to his 150 so students? And from there, it has just been the most delightful experience I've ever had in my career. So, touche to you all. All right, so I'm going to teach you that the most important thing in importing is communication. You've got a 30-year employee right here at your beck and call. You can email me, you can text me, you can call me. I have tried to limit my hours to 18 hours a day, but if you're insistent, just dial my number. And then what you'll find is the most important on any of this is that you need to get your product that you've worked so hard to find on the shelf. Is it the eBay shelf, the Amazon shelf, the online shelf, whatever shelf you're using, you need to get it to the shelf. And you need to have a freight forwarder and a U.S. Customs broker and a trucking company or support of the UPS system to get it there. And that's what we're going to learn today. And I think we are an expert. Just like I think you're an expert at your product. I think you've got the best of the best product, and I think my team is the best of the best. So I'm going to, I'm sure other people have fantastic teams too. I'm just a little partial to my own. All right, we're going to go through this sheet right here. Okay? The second half is going to be the other side, how to get an accurate quote. So the first side is the import process, basic steps. All right, your order approved. Now that is when you get your product. And how many people have their product already picked out? Okay, all right, so we're kind of half and half. That's good. That's good. Those that don't have their product, maybe by the end of this weekend, you'll have your product. Maybe you'll end up with a mentor or somebody that supports you, or there's a light bulb that comes on, and you'll say, that's it. That blue widget was exactly what I needed, and somebody was here that helped you with it. We're going to assume everybody has a product that they're importing. Okay, so you've got your product, and you approve from your supplier. You tell them, okay, I want to do it. You put down your percentage, whatever they require, and then you need a freight forwarder to bring it in. All right? We're going to use a freight forwarder that can get it to the shelf, which happens to be my team. All right? So you're going to go to Lori's team, and you're going to email Lori or call Lori and say, look, I got this order. And here we go. I want you to handle it for me. I want you to take care of it. Here's my supplier's email address. Lori will go and she will email, keeping you in copy because it's your shipment, it's your product, it's your baby. She will keep you in copy, but all of a sudden now we start the communication process. Everybody is in the loop. She'll take my agent overseas, she'll take your supplier, you're included, and now your freight forwarder's included. And everything starts running smooth because everybody knows what you require. And what you require is a smooth shipment. You don't need anything to go wrong because of somebody not communicating properly. So then, before we get on to the boat and move it to U.S., you may choose to have it inspected in China. You may choose to have it inspected in the USA. Some warehouses do inspection. We happen to do inspection. We've got one here in Tampa, Florida, and we've got one in Santa Fe Springs, California, that will do quality control. We do things a little differently because I started this through what Amazon people wanted. They asked me, they said, look, I don't want 1,000 pictures of the same widget. If it's junk, it's junk, please. I don't want it. Can you not hire someone smart enough in your warehouses to give me 20% and give me some pictures, give me some feedback, and then let me decide if we want 20% more looked at and inspected? And so that's what we did on the USA side. Now, on the China side, I've got some email addresses that I've been given throughout the years. I've never used them because I'm not an importer as such. I just handle you alls. But you can always talk with them, and at least it's a starting point for you to see what you need and how to talk to people about inspection. Then we go into customs clearance. Yes, there is a clearance process before you get to the United States. I know everybody thinks it's all about the United States, but you've got to clear it in China or Indonesia or wherever. Yes, sir.
So, for the Chinese customs, what are the bad things that can happen? What are the horror stories? What are the things that we should be careful about?
Well, I have to say it kind of depends on the agent that you use. If you've got an agent that can deal with the Chinese customs, that would be perfect because they know that they need a license. They know the documentation. My team will help them make the proper documentation for both sides, the foreign side and also our side. And then also your supplier can also clear it through U.S. Customs. So it kind of depends, China Customs. It kind of depends on what the parameters are. If you've got a freight forwarder that really doesn't have a strong agent overseas, then that may be the problem right there. If you got a fantastic supplier that has got a license, has done this forever, and can take care of it all, then it'll work. You don't need it. You don't need a super agent. So I hope that answered it. Because there's no definite answer. You got to tell me who you're using or what your supplier's like for me to give you a definite. And that is the difference with Amazon. There is no clear cut, or eBay, there is no clear cut, this is how you do it. That's that containerized business that I left. This part of the business is very unique. And I think you all know that by just choosing a product, dealing with what you deal with day to day about the Amazon algorithms or how much the bottom line is. So we've got a choice here. Your agent can clear, my agent can clear it, or your supplier can clear U.S. Customs or China Customs, and then. What do? We try to get it on the boat. We try to get it on the boat as smooth as possible. All right, this is the $10,000 problem right here. If you do not get an ISF, which is an import security filing, done, created, and booked in the U.S. government system, 48 hours prior to sailing, U.S. government has the right to charge you $10,000 per occurrence. Being late is per occurrence. Not having it filled out properly is another occurrence. So whether you have your agent handle it, your supplier, somebody else handle it, make sure they know how to do an ISF and what the requirements are for you. Because the importer of record, you, will be charged $10,000 if the U.S. government so does and deems forth. Now, on the bottom of every email that my staff has, they will have this $10,000 warning in red because it is that important. They have now started to kind of familiarize the importer of records with this ISF filing 48 hours before sailing. They have decided that whoever doesn't do this properly, they're going to automatically get an exam when it comes over to U.S. ports. Okay, so now you're not charged $10,000, but you probably got a $400 or $500 exam coming. So let's just be smart and play by the rules. Make sure you've got a freight forwarder that knows what ISF means and how important it is to you. It's not important to a freight forwarder. It's important to you. It's your money. So I think does everyone get that? Does everyone know how important that is? Because I cannot tell you how many people call us and say, it's on the ship, it's sailing, and I don't have an ISF. Well, you know what? You're playing Russian roulette with a lot of money, and I don't like surprises, and I try not to give my customers surprises. All right, so we've got our ISF filed, and we're going to put it on the ship. It goes say it's an LCL, and it comes over. Let me get through this, and then we'll have our question time. We have the LCL. It ends up going to a container freight station in China, and then they load it onto a steamship line. That is one of those that if you've got a full container, they load the full container. If they've got LCL, they put it in a container and mix it with your new 9 or 10 best friends. Okay? What I try to do is less than container load. What I try to do is I try to get my Amazon-alike people in one container. All right, why is that a benefit for you? That's because we know that the documents that we do are correct. The weight's right, the consignee's correct, all that. We also know that my agent has cleared the China customs properly. So there is less cost, less availability to get an exam. And that is important to you because it's dollars. And that is why I try to consolidate all the Amazon people into a 20, 40-foot container and then move it over. Then also you can share in everybody's, 9 people in one container, you split the cost 9 different ways. Now it'll be, if you have 1 CBM and you have 10 CBMs, it'll be prorated, but that's something I do. You don't have to worry about that. From what I understand, we're very unique in that process. No one wants to take the time to maneuver and manage this. I don't mind it because, once again, I'm in this for you. I can go on the other side. I don't want to. I believe in your businesses, and that's how it all started. I guess I'm a frustrated teacher at heart, but I do believe that someone needs to look out for the new entrepreneur, the individual, the small business, so that you have a chance to be the Amazon, the eBay, the e-commerce success story. And if it's one of the people that I chose, to work with, and you chose me, that's just awesome. I have actually one lady that lives in Miami. She started out with me. She started out with her little LCL. And she has now she's got a team in China. She brings in containers. I mean, basically, she has grown past me. I mean, she actually, and she wouldn't have known what to do if she wouldn't have been at HYC with my team before. And that is the kind of freight forwarder that you need to find out, the kind of broker. If it's not me, find somebody like me. And that is the key. You're starting a company, you need to know what the costs are. You don't need 3 bills after the fact. You need to know the cost and the bottom line at the time. You need to be able to price your widget properly and make an actual profit on it. And if you keep getting bills on down the line, you won't. All right, so ocean freight takes longer than air freight, but at times it's a third of the cost too. So that's one of those things that ends up being one of those that can you plan ahead? Can you make it so that it ends up being a benefit for you? That's what it is. All right, and then we're going to come to the U.S. port. This is where everybody that gets their supplier, not everybody, but a lot of people that get their supplier to handle their shipment get tripped up. There are port charges. That container, your freight just does not fly from the water and end up in the warehouse or at Amazon. There is a middleman in here, and it's called the U.S. port. And those are union laborers. That's something that we have created amongst ourselves, whether it's on the East Coast, West Coast, or what. We've got port charges that we have to pay. That would be a container freight station for less than container, or that would be a CY, a container yard, for a full container. The point here is that if your supplier says, I'll give you ocean freight for $250 and it's 10 CBMs, that is just ocean freight. That is not port charges. That's not destination charges. If it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Cubic meter. And it's cubic meter is probably about the size of this. If it was out to here, probably about like this. So and ocean freight is managed by cubic meter. It's priced by cubic meter, and a pallet is usually about 1.5 cubic meters. So you can kind of judge how many pallets are going to be done. Every CFS, which if you brought in less than a container load, every CFS is going to palletize your freight. You say, well, I don't want to pay for it. I want to send it out loose by Amazon, SPD, or I want to send it out by UPS or whatever. Well, you don't have the opportunity. They're going to palletize it. Half of it is to protect you so that your boxes don't end up walking out. They take them right off the container, and they actually wrap them, and they shrink wrap them, put them on that pallet every which way. Now, Amazon won't take it that way. If we delivered it to your house, we could. But actually, with the requirements that Amazon has, we would have to re-palletize them so that they would accept them. But that's one of the things that happens at the U.S. port. After that, and I should say, kind of at the same time, while it's being processed in the port, it's also being processed by your U.S. Customs broker. That is something that we also do. There's some people that are just freight forwarders and some people that are just customs brokers. We actually are both. And so it's kind of a one-stop shopping. Our motto is simplify the process for you. And we clear it through U.S. Customs. Let's just stop a moment and talk about U.S. Customs. Duty and taxes is something you're going to have to pay in the U.S. Now, the product, for those of you that haven't chosen your product, let's think about what it is. The HS code is something that has been determined to have the cost of the duty and tax, okay? So it will be 4% for duty and taxes for, I don't know, a baking mat, we'll just say. That is very important because you need to know that in order to get a price point for your selling point. One of the big arguments I have with other freight forwarders is, don't give my people another bill. You know what they're bringing in. Go ahead and put duty and taxes, calculate it for them, and let's give these people a real quote. A quote is an invoice to me. If you sign the quote, you're signing what it should be. And so with the new people that haven't gotten a product, let's just take scarves. It's a textile. Textiles are pretty pricey with duty and taxes. All right, so we had a lady that wanted to bring in some scarves. Well, the cost of the scarf was high. The duty and tax was 18% for this particular scarf. And by the time she put it on the ship or air freighted it or did anything, she had to sell this scarf for so much larger than what her e-commerce site would support. And so we ended up going back and forth with her, trying to educate her on maybe that's not the perfect product. If you have a product and you want us to look it up for you and tell you what we suggest is the HS code, then we'll be happy to. Email us and we'll send it right to you. I'll get my compliance manager and we'll send it on to you. The point is you don't want to bring in something that you can't make money on. You want to make money. Don't pick something that the duty is so high or there's an anti-dumping on it that is going to prevent you from making a profit. Now, let's talk about anti-dumping. Does anyone know what anti-dumping? Does everyone know? You know what anti-dumping is. So you know that colored pencils and tires are a big no-no. And yeah, okay. And years ago, candles were. And what it is that basically the foreign countries, which we'll say China in this instance, China has got such a low price on them that it's not feasible for the U.S. to even compete. So the U.S. will put an anti-dumping tax on it or cost on it to make it level. It won't be like this. It'll be kind of like this. And so you want to make sure that something's not anti-dumping. If you can sell it with anti-dumping and support the cost, then certainly. But once again, it's one of these pitfalls you need to look at because it will be charged. And then U.S. Customs has the option 7 years into the importing process to come back and change that and give you another anti-dumping bill if it so happens to be. So be very, very careful of that, okay? And we'll be happy to help you. This is to make you a smart importer. So make sure you use the services that we provide, and they're free. Just give us a minute to get back with you, or whatever. But this isn't a consulting. This is just what we do. And we're hoping we get a shipment out of it. I'm going to be very honest with you, That's our payback, is you import through us. All right. So then we go back and we've got our warehouse. This has kind of been the thing with Amazon. Amazon has decided they do not want they don't want to be in the warehouse business anymore. They want to fulfill. So last year, if something was in there 6 months or longer, they charged this unbelievable storage fee. Well, we started getting things back and so forth, and we're saying, what's going on? Well, real quick we found out that our storage fee was like a third of the price of Amazon. So you've got to be careful on your turnover. I'm not sure on, if you keep it in your garage, there's no problem with that. You can fulfill from there. But if you're going to an Amazon fulfillment center, there is a limitation on that. Then, as far as the warehouse, we have labeling, we have the quality control, which I've already talked about, and we've got anything pretty much that you can think of. Bundling, putting two things together. If the tops of something broke, and we can you get the supplier to send new tops because they packaged them incorrectly, we can do that. Our Tampa warehouse is very, very detailed. Our other warehouse, and they don't store. Our other warehouse in California does store, and then we do the quality control there as well. But if you wanted to have shrink wrap, I would say let's move it to Tampa. If you wanted your body care product to look like it came from Macy's and with the folds and all that, let's send it through Tampa. So we've got both of the objectives that you need. We'll just route it to Tampa rather than route it to LA. And then it'll end up in Amazon. So then on Amazon, as far as the new people, if you're a new person, they're also limiting the quantity that you can store and you can even put in at the first light. It used to be a lot more than 500. Now it's 500. If it's an oversize, it's 300. Amazon has the right to change that at any point in time. So what I'm saying right now might be old news by the time you get your product in. Make sure you go to Seller Central. Make sure you investigate whatever warehouse you're using and see what you need on that. Getting it to the fulfillment center or whatever. We do different things such as Groupon and so forth. Our warehouse is actually handled by my husband. He does the warehouse and transportation. He thought he was going to retire, and that didn't work very well for him. It doesn't matter to me that he worked 35 years for a security company, and he thought he was going to play golf all the time. I said, well, just help me out for 2 months, just 2 months. I said, I'm really, you're a project manager, you've done that for years, just do it. And so anyways, that's what we did. We did, and here he is, 5 years later, and he takes every shipment like a project, and he has done a fantastic job. So he's not here today. Usually he does come with me, but he had some things that he had to do at home for our customers. So he said, "You just go on. You got your back up. Let's go on." So that's where I feel very comfortable with him handling the warehousing and transportation. And I can't say that our pillow talk is too exciting anymore, but he does do a good job for my clients and the Groupon clients and the e-commerce as well. We have an HYC broker, truck broker. Amazon has their truck broker license as well. Amazon also has a UPS SPD. Those are the 3 ways that you can, if you use our services, that you could get it to the fulfillment center or to your own warehouse or garage or whatever. That is very important. You know the limitations on those. If you go through Rick's HYC LTL service or CY service, he has full control. He knows where it is. He can keep you updated. And what was one of the 3 things? Communication is the key to a smooth shipment. If you deal with Amazon LTL, we don't know anything about it. You're going to have to go through Seller Central. You're going to have to look through there. You're going to have to go on through that. So we can't help you as much. And we can't pick the trucker either. And then we have the UPS SPD. This is the new thing that I am very upset with, is that any time that you have an Amazon shipment that is over 10 cartons, they will not scan the individual cartons. We load the truck, and it's a feeder truck, and it's a 53-footer. And then it is counted when it gets to UPS terminal. Okay, well, lately, since they've changed this, we have ended up with a lot of customers saying that they have lost freight, that Amazon hasn't gotten the freight, that their cartons have not arrived, all in one, one order. And that's the thing. Okay, if you're not gonna, if UPS is not gonna sign off on our labor putting it in there for their 200 cartons, and they're only gonna take it and count it once it gets to their terminal, what's gonna happen in between? I mean, look, it might fall off the truck. You never know. And so what we have found is that my Amazon customers are having a little hard time keeping up with their cartons if they use the UPS SPD for any amount of quantity. And I am very upset that they have changed that. I'm hoping they'll get enough complaints and they'll change it back to where, yes, it's a shipper's load and count. I load 200 containers in at my warehouse, or cartons in at my warehouse, and they sign off on them right there that there's 200. And that is the way it should be done. I don't know who came up with this brainy idea that they're going to wait till it gets to the terminal, but it's not a benefit to my customers. And I think that they'll probably end up changing that before too long because there's just too many complaints. All right, then we go to the fulfillment center or whatever the liking is. Groupon, which they've changed their name, I believe, but I'm an oldie. But then we've got the fulfillment centers all over. What Amazon is trying to do is get the fulfillment centers that are closest to where you're importing. If you're importing in California, they usually go to Moreno Valley. All right, let's talk about an FBA label. An FBA label is what is required on the carton. Okay, if you're going to put from a Chinese address to and put it in there, a lot of times you're going to get Chattanooga, you're going to get, on the East Coast, whatever, because they don't know where you're bringing it into. Okay, but if you on your Seller Central, if you tell them that you're bringing it into the West Coast or the East Coast or whatever, they're trying to help you all out and put it in the closest fulfillment center, and then they'll distribute it out if it's a hub center. So that is one of those things that we have. It's not written, but it seems like we've done a study, and 96% of our people have actually ended up in Moreno Valley rather than Chattanooga or whatever if they put our warehouse. And then in Tampa, they'll end up on the East Coast. So they're trying to help you out in that manner. So yay fulfillment centers there. On the other side is the quote. And I've got to watch my time here. But in order for you to run a business, you have got to get the right information to the freight forwarder or your supplier so that they can give you the right rate. It is up to you in that respect. You can't tell them that, the carton might be 19 by 19 by 13, and we got 50 of them. And then they come out and they're 24 by 32 by 6 or something. It's all by dimensions. So you've got to be accurate too. Well, on this piece of paper here on the back of it, it shows you different things that you'll be asked, needed, required. Now this is more for a fulfillment center in general, but the point is that you need to know all this information to get an accurate quote. To have a quote be your invoice, you've got to give them the right information. You've got to give our A-team the right information. And they should be asking you this information if you don't have it. So it's not that they're just trying to be a problem. One of them is the value of your shipment. Commercial value. All right, commercial value is how duty and taxes are calculated. If you say, it's about $5,000, and it really ends up being $16,000, your duty's going to be way off, and then you're going to end up getting another bill. So some of these things need to be addressed beforehand, and that's why I made this. They said, have something to come home to, and that you can take, pin on your wall, and make you be a smarter importer. It's this. You need to know about the commodity. A lot of times, these people aren't being nosy, and they're not trying to sell your information or your widget or whatever. HYC is bonded with the U.S. Customs and federal agencies. We've got more licenses hanging on the wall than Heinz has pickles, so that we keep everything confidential. So that we have to by law. I wouldn't make it in jail. It's just not my thing, I'm not going to jail. So, your widget is wonderful for you, but I'm not going to tell you about his widget, and I don't want to. You worked hard for it. I'm here for you. My goal is to make you a smart importer and a success. I can go over to the other side of the business if I want to. I'm here on this side because I believe in you all. I believe in your entrepreneurship and your company. And I'm trying to help and educate you so that you succeed. And you're going to get a packet, but I wrote an article that says you need to have this kind of feeling. You need to trust who you're talking to. You've put a lot of time and effort in this. People have told me that they've used the college fund to start their Amazon business. This is serious. You want to be able to get out of the corporate world. This is why I said, okay, sure, I'll help you be a smart importer. It's for you. And if you don't have a freight forwarder or a U.S. Customs broker or a trucker or whatever that doesn't care about getting it to the shelf for you, then you need to move on. And you need to feel like they have your back, and they need to be talking to China. They need to be supporting you, and you should be the number one person in their life. And then as it goes on, and then you'll get to, like we have several customers that sends an email says, "I have another shipment. Go ahead," and that's all we get, and we take care of her and. She's happy, we're happy, everybody's happy, and she counts her millions. I don't know. So on this, we can go through a few things. We import everywhere. There is not a place that we don't, except such as Iran, the sanctioned states. But we import to UK, we import to Mexico, Japan. We export the same. My traditional business has an export department as well. We can take it from the U.S. if it's made here and move it to the U.K., Japan, Mexico, Colombia, Indonesia, wherever you think, wherever you think you can sell it. I probably can import it, and that's what you need. You need someone that if you've got the market over there, let's figure out how to get it there, and that is the important thing. The other thing I want to say about a continuous bond, and it's on here under administrative details. A lot of people that have done air freight have not had to get a continuous bond because that bond is already on with the DHL, FedEx, Express side. All right, so you have not been taxed with even being discussed. All the FedEx, DHL, and all that UPS have already gone through all the legal legislations to get that approved. If you use a regular U.S. Customs broker like HYC or probably one that's down the street from you or whatever, that there's a difference. It's called a single entry bond that you have to import, or a continuous bond to import. You cannot import into the United States without a continuous or a single entry bond. It does a lot of things, but the bottom line is it actually does. It gives an insurance policy to U.S. Customs that you're going to pay their duty and taxes. And whether you have it per shipment or you take a 12-month continuous bond, you've got to determine what you need. If you do courier service or express service, you don't need it. And that's why some of the people say, well, I've been importing for years and never had it. Well, yes, you have. You've had it under the express, carrier, and that's it. So we talk about continuous bond a lot because you're known by U.S. Customs in a good way. You're known as a continued shipper. You want to support the United States and its economy. It also is supposed to help you from getting exams. Now you can say, oh yeah. But let's go through what a single entry bond does. Single entry bond, you take it for your shipment. It's a single entry. I, as a U.S. Customs officer, I have to take your physical paperwork, go over here, and I have to say, okay, this right here, this widget or whatever, projector, whatever, matches this, and I've got to sign Pam Cail. All right, now if I'm putting my John Hancock on something, you don't think that if I've got to examine 30% of my loads that come through, you don't think it's going to be on the ones my name's on? One goes electronically, one I sign off. Oh yeah, the projector's going. It's going, and that's going to be part of my 30%. And then I won't get in trouble, everything else. So the single entry bond just enlightens everybody to say it's going to be an exam. It's good. It's got a good chance for an exam. So you get an exam 3 ways. By having a U.S. Customs officer take care of the, have to sign it. And then I think that you are just randomly chosen by the 30% that has to be. And that's, it's it is what it is. They have to examine so many, and that's life. And then I think that you prevent a lot of it by saying, yes, you are a continued supporter of the U.S. economy. And so that's where we end up with that. I kind of jumped ahead. These cards that I put out here, if you would write your name and email address and a question on it that you don't think I answered properly or I need to expand on, I will personally email you and follow up with your question. I can talk forever on importing, and I've had to pick and choose what I think is the high points. There are several different. I could talk forever just on warehousing. I could talk forever on exams and what you should do on that. But if you would do that, I would certainly appreciate it, and I would be glad to help you. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you have a question, don't call me. You can email me, and when I get in, or I let the dogs out in the middle of the night, I'll text you back and I'll say, hey, this is, it's like this. And if I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know, and I'll look into it. There is a lot to know. You need to be an expert at your product. I feel like our team, and we are an expert at e-commerce and getting it to where it needs to be and supporting you. There's different people and different places that need to be an expert. You can't run a company and do it all. And you're running a company. Our quote is our invoice. That's how I wanted to do it. Unless you change the CBMs or something drastic, like your value change is huge, then I can say it's going to be what it is. If by some chance Lori has a bad day and she messed up her the quote, and you got a good deal, then you got a good deal. That I am a firm believer of that, and I do not expect you to have 3 different invoices. I also don't want to bill you for an exam that may not happen. So you won't ever have an exam fee unless it actually happens, and we hope it doesn't much, and everything else will be on there. And my quotes are they're itemized. You've got to know where your money is. We can do a little, we can do a lot, we can do the U.S. Customs, your shipper can route it in, and we can take care of it from there. It's very versatile, but every shipment is different. Your widget's not going to come in and need the same thing that her widget is. It will be different. Your widget may end up being need to be repacked because for some reason in the transit it got crushed. So we need to find some boxes that fit it, or you can send some with the suppliers. Like I said, I can talk for days on this, and because everything is different, everything's unique. But know that we can pretty well fix everything that is, what should I say, fixable. Now, you bring in something that's hazmat, and you don't declare it hazmat, it's not going to get to you. U.S. Customs is not going to let anything that needs an FDA certified and certificate, it won't get to you. It will stay at the port because your person in China was not certified FDA, and they will not bring it into the country with that. So let's be smart. Let's learn what you've got. My compliance manager will always flag and tell us if it needs an FDA certification. There's another one, Lacey Act. Lacey Act's one of those that it's protecting the wood species, the rainforest and all that. Well, I imported a bench. It had too much bark on it. It couldn't be fumigated properly because there was too much bark on it. Well, what's too much bark, really? I mean, well, according to this U.S. Customs officer, that bench was. And so that's all that mattered. And so these ended up being destroyed. So let's be smart importers. Let's ask the questions. Let's find out. Our team is very supportive. We are here for you. And you need to use us. The people that don't ask the questions are usually the ones very, very surprised. They get all these surprises, and we don't like surprises. And you work hard to find, and the due diligence with your product. I actually admire all of that. Like I said, I've been in this business for 30 plus years. I can't find a widget to import. Now, I could support you all, but I can't think of a thing. And every time, it's like, oh, when I see something, it's like, oh, that'd be good, whatever. But you know what? It's nothing, that's not my brain. And so anyways, we support you. We don't import. We've got an Amazon website. We've got an eBay. We've got, we've got all that so that we know the hurdles that you have to go through. We can help you with the labeling and so forth, and answer some of the, or most of the questions, but some of them are up to Seller Central or, if there's a middleman with Groupon. We'll be here. We're going to be here all day. We're going to be here until Monday. And if you see us, if you think of something, please stop. If we've got a table out there. I can't. Sometimes people don't even know the questions to ask. So hopefully, you're going to get a parting gift, and hopefully that'll help you with some of it that you may or may not think you know, and think you need to know, but it will. I think I think just brainstorming sometimes with my team helps answer some of the questions. Yes, ma'am.
So in the previous session, Lars was talking about how he had ordered something and it didn't come in individual boxes, so basically he didn't know that it had to say made in Sweden on the actual item. Is that something that you would flag?
Yes. If you asked me what do I need for markings, that's a marking issue. I always say the carton should be, you should have on the outside carton, made in China, made in Sweden, whatever, and then also your item. Now think of this, as you go into the store, your individual carton has boxes in it. Your individual box has got to notify you where that product was made. And if you start paying attention to it, you will. I mean, it may be a teeny tiny little sticker, but it'll say made in China, made in Sweden, whatever. You will know where that product is. And it can be on the box or it can be on the physical product. Sweden may have actual rules that it has to be on the product.
Yeah, apparently because it came not in boxes.
It has to be on the product. Yes. Yes. Like a scarf or some material, whatever. You can have it on the button. You can have, a little hang tag that says made in, so you're not defacing your product. But it has to have it, and they're very serious about that. Very, very serious. We would, especially a new person, we go through all of this. I mean, I spend a few hours on the phone with them. My A team will sit, we'll go through each line of the quote, everything. We try to think of things that you may not, that other people have tripped on. Anyone else? We have 2 minutes. Anyone else?
When you receive products from China, for instance, do you check to see if they're broken or damaged before you informs that?
The question is, when we receive goods from China, do we check and see if they're broken or not? If you ask us to. See, that's that quality control. I mean, I can't do it for free, and I can't take labor off the warehouse floor to go through it. Now, I will tell you, my team's very good, and they'll say, you can tell if something's been either wet, damaged, or something. They'll say, hey, Mr. Rick, there's a problem here, and I think you need to notify these people. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I'm not sure how different air freight might be compared to this process here.
Air freight is easier, really, than this process. But the point is you don't need to know this process. I need to know this process. And that is the difference. If your freight forwarder makes you know the process, move on. Okay? That's their job. And actually I had somebody that's been with me 4 years ago, and he moved, and I saw him at a convention, and he said, "Oh, Pam, I am so sorry I ever left you. Last Christmas was a nightmare. I'm teaching my freight forwarder how to move the freight. I was all frantic about all my parts and pieces and all that, and then I'm teaching him how the documents should look." Oh, he said, "I will never leave you," and that's great to hear. But you know what? I'll tell you right now, and I didn't say that before. I mean, if you got to teach your freight forwarder and pay him too, no, no. That's like making the product and paying your supplier. So there are many good ones out there. Air freight is much simpler. A lot of times it's express. So it's done up in, basically cleared up in the sky, we call it. Yes, it is much more costly. Air freight is much more costly. And at different times, it can be three times the rate of ocean freight. But the really big benefit for the Amazon and for the Groupon and for anyone that deals with me is that I'll try and work out a consol. My team will work out a consol. I mean, Lori will have 15 CBMs and Sue will have 10, and they'll say, coming from Shenzhen, and they're both due about the same time. We'll put it together, and then y'all split everything. Appropriately with the and you're not doing that. We're doing that, and it's a benefit to you and your bottom line. And that's the name of the game. Is we've got to work together, and we've got to get what's best for you. All right. Anyone else? All right. Well, we'll be around. I hope this was helpful. If you would, well, thank you. If you'll leave the little cards on the table, I'll take care of them, and we'll get your questions answered that I didn't answer, and who knows, when I get back to Memphis, Tennessee, you can dial my number and we can have a talk.